Hiya! So I've had quite a few people asking me if I would show them how to make the little primroses that are very similar to the ones on this wreath. These ones, this is the pattern from my book, and these ones are actually really tiny. You can see if I sort of put my finger next to it for scale. And they're tiny because they were made in a really fine yarn with a very small hook. But obviously the basics of the pattern is the same. You can work with any size yarn, just use the matching hook to go with it. And you know, if you want to do small and tiny, just keep going smaller and smaller with your thread and with your hook. So I'm going to show you one that's a very similar pattern to the one that's in the book today. And again, I will write the pattern, the written pattern, in a little bit of blurb underneath this. So this is what we're going to be working on, just simple little primroses. I'll show you how to make a couple of simple leaves as well. The leaves actually will probably be more about that kind of size. So again, like I said last time, for the purpose of being quite clear and showing you what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to use Rikarumi again because that's a double knit weight, so it's quite easy for you to follow and see. And I'm going to use a size 3mm hook. You could also use Yarn and Colours, and actually because I don't have a darker yellow, I'm going to use the Yarn and Colours for the centre of my primrose. Basically, the primrose starts off with a magic ring and 2 rounds just to make that central circle. If you want to follow a tutorial on how to do a magic circle, there is one on my YouTube channel, so please do take a look at that. I think I've said before, it's really worth getting it right, and it is one of those things you need to do it a few times and you will find that it just suddenly clicks, and once you've got it, you've got it and you won't look back. And I use them probably for, I don't know, 90% of the start of the things I make, so really good to know how to do that. The other thing that actually, this same pattern is perfect for really any colour, little flowers like this. These I've made in sort of cherry blossom colours, I suppose. And I made these a couple of years ago because when it was Easter, I got a big branch, you know, some branches, and put them in a jug on the table. But it just needed a little bit of colour added to it. So I made lots of these, and then it's hard to imagine, but I kind of sandwiched the branch in between and just put a little stitch through to hold these in place. And actually that looked really pretty, just to add a bit of blossom to some branches to go for a nice sort of spring table display. Anyway, we'll get all of this out of the way because the ones that we're focusing on today are typical primrose colours. Okay, let's get started on our primrose. So, to start off with, we are going to make the centre of the flower. So take your yarn and your hook, and we're going to begin by making a magic ring. And into that magic ring, we're going to work 5 double crochets. That's UK terms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 double crochets into the magic ring. We're going to pull up the tail, and there you can see we've started with a small round of 5 stitches. We're going to do one more round, and in this round we're going to work 2 double crochets into each stitch from the first round. So at the end of this second round we're going to end up with 10 stitches. So simply go into the first stitch, and you're just going to work 2 double crochets into that same stitch. So 1 and 2 into that first stitch. 3 and 4. 5 and 6. 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. And that, just those 2 rounds It's the right size for the center of our primrose. So to finish off, I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch, pull it through, find my scissors, and finish off. There it is. Okay. We're now going to add our petals, and for that we need our second colour. Now you can join in your second colour at any point on the circle, it doesn't matter at all. I normally start just after where the last one, where I finished off, but it's entirely up to you, it really doesn't make any difference. So we're going to join in our second colour with a slip stitch. Okay, and the first thing we need to do is to chain 2. Each petal that we make is going to take up 2 stitches from the central ring, because basically each petal is worked up of 2 halves. The first half is going to be in stitch 1, the second half is going to be in stitch 2. Right, so let's get going. So we've got our 2 chain, and out into the same stitch we're going to work 2 trebles. And unlike a normal treble, we're not going to finish it off. We're going to work the last loop, but we're going to leave it on the hook. So yarn over and pull through. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 1, leaving it on the hook. So at the end, for that first stitch, we've now got the chain of 2, and then we've got our 2 trebles, and that forms the first half of our petal. For the second half, we're going to work into the second stitch from the central circle. Exactly the same way, we're going to work 2 trebles to start with. So yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 1. One more treble, so pull your yarn through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 1. And that gives you a total of 5 stitches on your hook. We're now going to close the petal with a yarn over and pull through all 5 stitches on your loop. And then just chain 1 to seal it, to stop it from going anywhere. We're now going to work another chain 2 and then slip stitch back into that same stitch that you were just working into. And there is your first petal. Let's do the next one. So slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 2. We're now going to work our 2 trebles into that same stitch, leaving the last loop of each treble on the hook. There goes Otto. I think that might be a wool delivery. Okay, that's the first half of the second petal. Now let's go into the next one. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 1. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 1. There's our 5 stitches on the hook, yarn over and pull through. As you can hear, Otto doesn't really like parcels being delivered. Okay, so 2 petals. Right, let's go in and do the third one. So we're going to start off with that slip stitch. We're going to chain 2. Yarn over, and we're going to work the first treble. We're then going to work the second treble. For the second half of the petal, we're going to work 2 trebles into that second stitch, which will give us then 5 loops left on the hook. Yarn over, pull through all 5. Chain to seal it, and then work chain 2 so that we can bring the yarn back down the other side of the petal and finish it off back in the central circle. Let's do our 4th petal. So slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 2. We're now going to work our 2 trebles into that same stitch. 1, 2. We're going to work 2 trebles into the next stitch, 1, 2. Yarn over and pull through all 5 loops on your hook. Chain 2 and bring it back down into the same stitch at the base. So now we have 4 petals. Let's work the 5th one exactly the same way. Slip stitch in, chain 2, 1 treble, and the second treble. Yarn over because we're going to work our trebles into the next stitch. 1 and 2, giving us 5 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through and seal it. Chain 2 and slip stitch back into the same stitch. And there you will see 5 petals around your centre. So we just snip off your yarn and pull it through. I find it's always quite good to give all your yarn ends a good tug when you're done, just to neaten it all up and get it nice and taut. And then obviously you can just stitch or knot your ends behind. There is your little primrose. Let's do a little leaf to go with it. We'll do a very straightforward leaf. The leaf starts with a chain rather than a magic ring. And the length of your chain is going to determine how long your leaf is. So if you want for any other thing to make a longer leaf, just add a longer chain. I'm going to do 8, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so basically your leaf is going to have 1/2 down here and 1/2 up there. Think of the chain as the sort of central vein that goes down through the centre of your leaf. So starting in the second chain from the hook, we're going to just start off with a little slip stitch. We just want to get a nice gentle curve working up the side of that leaf. So we've got a slip stitch, we've got a double crochet. Let's do a 1/2 treble and then let's do a treble. And you will see that that is starting to give us a really lovely gradual curve up one side of the leaf. Right, let's start to bring the curve back down the other way. So I'm going to do another treble. I'm going to do a 1/2 treble. And I'm going to finish with a double crochet. And that brings us to the base of the leaf. I'm going to do 1 chain just to give me enough yarn to take my hook round to the other side. And then we're simply going to work back down the other side of the leaf with a similar pattern of stitches. So a double crochet, a 1/2 treble, 2 trebles, let's do a 1/2 treble and a double crochet, and then just a slip stitch to bring it back to the beginning to finish it off. Very, very simple leaf. So there you have 1 leaf and 1 primrose. And once you've got good, you can hook up several so that you can make a wreath like this. Very simple, very effective. I hope that little tutorial helped, and I'll see you back here next time. Bye.